All right, folks, good afternoon. Let's go ahead and get airborne with our full throttle session. This is our primary live trade brief. This is our regular member session that we've opened up to the public. We open up 3 sessions this week for our full throttle. So hopefully everybody, and yes, whoever just asked, everything's recorded. Our 3 full throttle sessions this week will be recorded and put on the replay page here in a little bit. Quick question before we get airborne. I'm going to throw up a poll here. What's your current strategic mindset? The rally that was going on today is already faded, but I want to get a sense. We have nearly, 2,800 people registered for full throttle. Love these full throttle launches. We open up the doors to Top Gun options here. I'll explain who I am in a little bit and our methodology and everything like that. But let me just get a quick attitude check as to where everybody is. What's your current strategic mindset? Let me go ahead and launch this poll because I'd like to get a manage the temperature of where you guys are. So go ahead and vote real quick when you get a second. Yep, and company from, beautiful Fort Lauderdale, man. Spring break capital of the world. I think spring break ends this week, which is awesome. I'm a little too old being down here in Fort Lauderdale during spring break. But what's your current strategic mindset? Don't type in the chat box. Go ahead and select your option. You can either be bullish, you can be bearish, you can think the market's going to be volatile, or you know what, Wiz? I think we just are going to chop sideways here. So go ahead and a couple more seconds, and then we'll, looks like almost everybody has voted, because I like seeing what your responses are, okay? About 66% of you have voted. All right, like I said, nearly 28, let's just round up, 3,000 people registered, so we're going to have a good crowd in here. All right, let me close this poll and share it with you. So here's what you all had to say. Here is your current strategic mindset. That's pretty interesting. Bullet about the equal amount of bulls and bears almost. 38% volatile, 30% neutral. Kind of seems like everybody's in the same or pretty damn close to the same strategic mindset of what? We're just kind of wallowing around here and waiting for a lot of things. And I'm going to tell you what we're waiting on and how we're going to potentially make money on that. So welcome aboard Full Throttle, industry leading, folks. We've been in business coming on 10 years, Top Gun Options, and there's a reason we've been around for 10 years. And we're not somebody who changes their name and starts up someplace else. 10 years. I'm going to show you some of our current positions. Some are not going to cover off the ball. Some ain't. Hopefully Nike starts falling over again like it did yesterday. I'm not going to get started with the whole Michael Avenatti thing, but Nike, even if what he did is criminal, it sounds like some of the underlying charges against Nike might actually be true, and that thing's going to implode. So we'll talk about our Nike weekly options trade that we placed yesterday. 50 annual slots. Full throttle slots we're going to open tomorrow. And I'm actually going to cover a top secret tactic that we came up with here at Top Gun Options called a burner trade. It's a trade that has unlimited upside, and you finance that upside with a credit spread. And we're going to cover that in a couple minutes. And it's going to be pretty cool. Here's our regular schedule, just to give you a heads up what we do here at Top Gun Options. Every Monday at 1 o'clock. So yesterday at 1 p.m., I did a members only. This wasn't open to free folks because we give a hell of a lot. Oh, sorry about that. Let me close that poll. Yep, hide. Duh. When I click the hide button there. So, like I said, Full Throttle is our industry leading. Open up the doors tomorrow to some memberships, and we're going to teach you a burner trade. Here's our regular schedule. Is weekly options is every Monday at 1 o'clock. Our primary live trade brief, which you are in right now, is at 1 o'clock on Tuesdays. Tomorrow is going to be our accelerated retirement brief, usually longer dated positions, a little bit more conservative portfolio. And then Thursday, we do kind of an analyze your trade and kind of a weekly debrief of all the trades that we covered that week at our positions. And then on Fridays, I usually do all my coaching sessions. I have a lot of one-on-one coaching clients in Commanding Officers Club or Commodores Club coaching, and those folks are having a blast. Today, I'm going to teach you a top secret tactic called a burner trade. And it's going to be very, very interesting because we're going to get bullish and then we're going to pound the hell out of this particular symbol and get bearish very, very soon. We're going to dogfight this position. Folks, if you don't know me, My name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Wiz. Fairly certain my parents love me. They didn't name me that. I earned that call sign flying the FA-18 Hornet for the United States Navy for about 15 years. Graduated from the Navy Fighter Weapons School that many of you know as Top Gun, and just had an absolute blast in the Navy. Got to fly in a bad guy jet over Pakistan, got to fly with the Blue Angels when my best friend was on the team, and also was an LSO, a landing signals officer. So when I wasn't flying, I was standing on the back of the ship in all-weather, day, night, trying to help my fellow aviators get back aboard the ship. So I was an LSO as well, and also flew 44 combat sorties over southern Iraq in support of Operation Southern Watch. If you've never seen the Persian Gulf before, it is a lake, folks. There's Kuwait, there's Iraq, and there's Iran in the background. And like there's a little aircraft carrier out there. What's this have to do with trading? Absolutely everything, folks. I have applied everything I learned flying a fighter aircraft to trading. Matter of fact, last week we had two great bearish trades on China make over $7,000. One of them was a weekly options trade, and one was a trade I placed actually the week before when we were out in Aspen. Two trades. The max risk with both of those trades was 10 grand, and they made it was $7,050. So we're going to talk about China. We're going to focus on China today. Because it's, like I said, we're going to have to dogfight China. We're waiting for a potential trade deal announcement, and then we're going to pound the hell out of it as the market sells off. So what does this military background have to do with trading? Everything, right? As a fighter pilot, you have to manage risk. You have to contingency plan. You have to have a strategy. You have to ask, what could go wrong during this mission that I can think about right now sitting here in the air conditioning. So it worked so well, my trading, as I was a young junior officer. When I got off active duty, I actually popped up on the radar of one of the largest volatility arbitrage firms in the country. Most of you recognize that famous building right there. That's the CBOT. That's the Chicago Board of Trade. And you see these big, beautiful windows here. That was actually our trading firm at the intersection of Jackson and LaSalle. So absolutely had a blast during my time in Chicago. Helped build a hedge fund, helped build the retail brokerage known as Options House, and also helped, or actually didn't help, I started the Options News Network. I was the founder and CEO of Peak 6 Media, which was the parent company for the Options News Network. We used to shoot on the floor of the CBO and the CBOT, giving behind-the-scenes information to folks like you, little old lady in tennis shoes or retail traders such as myself, and had an absolute blast doing that. I'd be lying there if I didn't tell you I felt like Valentine in trading places. But I got to be honest with you, folks. The quote-unquote smart money ain't necessarily that smart. Or let me say it a more complimentary way, you're just as smart as the smart money. Ain't nothing special about the folks that I saw in my time in Wall Street. As a matter of fact, felt like you had to take a shower a couple times a day. These people would step over their own mother to make a buck. But this ain't rocket surgery, folks. If I can do it, you guys can do it. Okay, so that's a quick intro about Top Gun Options, my background, and some of the things we're going to be doing as we move through the rest of the year. Do me a favor and just take a screenshot of this slide. There's a little camera icon on the top of the window that you're viewing this in. These are some of the sectors that we're targeting, not only in the front months, meaning right now, but also long-term. We're long-term bullish in these different sectors, and these positions are doing extremely well. We're targeting in the services sector, Amazon. Folks, Amazon is the Death Star. If we get some time today, we'll probably look at a bullish trade on Amazon. The reason I have XLY in parentheses, folks, is because Amazon being at $1,800 stock today, you might not be able to do a long-term bullish trade using Amazon, but you can use the XLY. The XLY, right, is the consumer services ETF, and about 22% of the XLY is made up of Amazon. There's some Starbucks, some Nike, some Home Depot, and some other names in there that I don't mind. But a good proxy to get long Amazon all the way out to Jan 21 is to use the XLY. And if you hang out for the rest of the week, or at least tomorrow or Thursday, maybe we'll cover one of those long-term bullish positions. Our sin stock is MGM. We love our defense stock, which is Raytheon. uh, folks, yeah, and take a look at Boeing. If unless you've been on the other side of Mars for the past month, you've seen all the problems with the 737 Max. Actually, there's not any problem with the Boeing 737 Max. It's the problem with the dudes that are flying the airplanes, who stopped being aviators and kind of stare at what we call the drool cup. When the technology is overwhelming, they start to drool and then they kill a lot of people. Boeing, single stock risk. I like Raytheon because it's in everything. Raytheon, I sat behind a Raytheon product for 15 years in the F-18 Hornet. That's probably why I'm going bald. But Raytheon's in the aircraft. It's in the ships. It's in the submarines. You want to own the guts of something, not necessarily the single airplane like Boeing. Our finance pick really isn't a finance pick. That column used to say JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley. I would short the hell out of those names. Those names are dead. Those names will not be alive for years. Why? Because the Fed's dead, and those blue blood banks ain't going to be doing so. A massive short that you could put on right now is actually the regional banks. What's the ETF? KBW or something like that. Short the hell out of the regional banks. If we have time, like I said, later this week we'll talk about that. Our transport pick is CSX. And then down here we have what we call Captain Kirk trades, but these really aren't Captain Kirk trades anymore. Thanks. Yeah, KRE. What do I mean by Captain Kirk? Everybody, we all probably close in age. We all grew up watching Star Trek, right? Boldly go where no man's gone before. Well, guess what? EWZ has been one of our best trades year to date. EWZ is the Brazilian ETF, and it follows the Bovespa. I'm going to give you a brief in a couple minutes where we're going to talk about Brazil, but the Trump of the tropics, President Bolsonaro was up here last week meeting with Trump. They actually kind of looked alike. The Bovespa is taking off similar to our markets in 2017, 2016 as well. So if you're looking for kind of a well, it's not even a Captain Kirk trade. Look at this. Let me find the headline real quick in our strategic brief here. Check this out. Forbes. Brazil is the best stock market in the world right now. I'm glad Forbes caught up with us, because I've been saying that. We've been trading this before the World Cup, before the Olympics, and we've also been trading it right before Bolsonaro got elected. Was the last time I recommended to get into it, and I think it's up 30. The ETF's up 38% since I said to get back into this thing, and we've been trading spreads on it, condors, you name it, and we've been having an absolute blast with our EWZ positions. So. FXI is on there as a Captain Kirk, but I should update that slide. We're going to take a look at a burner trade in a couple minutes on FXI. We're going to get bullish, and then we're going to pound the hell out of it, because in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, the trade deal is already built into this rally. We're going to get an initial pop on the announcement that we're going to have some sort of trade deal or signing ceremony right up the street here at Mar-a-Lago, and then the market's going to sell off, or at least FXI is. And I'm going to give you my trade here in a couple minutes. 2018 was one of our best. It was my best years, one of my best years trading in 27 years. We are absolutely crushing any hedge fund and the smart money. Take a look at this. Take a look at the previous year's hedge fund returns, folks. This is just, you know, a lot of people are like, oh man, I wish I was in a hedge fund. Well, actually you don't, because they suck. 2015, flat. 2016, 6.1. 2017, 10. Look at year to date. 2018, hedge funds are down 5%, right? This is over 3,000 hedge funds they surveyed for this data. Folks, we can find that in our couch. We are absolutely destroying the smart money here. Last year's returns, PLTB, 125% return on risk. Our weekly options and urgent alert, when we do send out urgent alerts, was about $1.21 for 106. And then our worst performing portfolio was AR, accelerated retirement. You're going to be in that tomorrow at 1 o'clock. 101% return on risk there, folks. Pretty damn good returns. Real quick, though, before we get trading, we lose some battles, man. I got two crappy trades on. One's a weekly options trade on Nike that I think is going to come back by Friday. And we have a, what's the other one? Well, we'll take a look at them. What I'm getting at, folks, is if you go to any one of these presentations and the dude or the lady just talks about all their winning trades, click the X in the top right and leave. A fool and their money are soon parted. We lose battles. I'm sorry. We do. We lose some battles, but our objective is win the war. Losing trades happen, right? Unknown unknowns are out there, ladies and gentlemen. Wasn't a big Donald Rumsfeld fan, but he had a very good quote, right? Trading's a form of combat when you think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to get their rear end handed to them. That's it, Mike. Exactly. So I remember, and Rumsfeld said this. He said, in combat, and I'll say in trading, there are known knowns, right? There are things that we know that we know. Then there are known unknowns, meaning there are things that we know that we don't know. I know that the weather might be good or bad over the target. And then Rumsfeld said there are unknown unknowns. There are things we don't know that we don't know. A couple of my members have been doing some great work trading Boeing year to date. And then you wake up one day and Boeing's down 10, 15%. Here's another perfect example. I remember putting on an iron Condor one day, a weekly trade on Google, right? Went to the gym, put on Comedy Central, CNBC, as I'm working out. Breaking news, Google has changed its name to Alphabet. The stock is up 5% after hours trading. I laughed. Well, Wiz, you lost $5,000 on that trade. I did. But there's no way on God's green earth that I could have known that. If I did know that and traded off of it, I should be in jail. It's illegal. So folks, you can do all the planning in the world. And then there is that 1 in a million, you know what? I just didn't see that missile and now I got to deal with it. So we do lose some battles, folks. Please don't. I remember at the old firm I was with, we were thinking about buying the street.com. Anybody remember that base? What was his? Lenny Dykstra. Remember that guy? He was a Philadelphia Philly for a while, man. I grew up watching Lenny Dykstra. He had an option service and never had a losing trade. Never had a losing trade. You know why? Because he never closed them. He'd just keep rolling these. He had like trades that were years old that he just never closed, so he could say he had never a losing trade. Complete lie, folks. Be careful with those people out there. Okay, real quick. Here's our methodology, and then we're going to get in the markets, and I'm going to give you a brief. Many of you in this room are an average retail trader. You're very, very tactical. You don't know what you're doing for dinner tonight, let alone what to be bullish on out a couple years. It's very, very, you burn out as a tactical trader, not here at Topkin Options. What you're going to get here is a strategic brief in a couple minutes that covers what's going on around the globe, politically, militarily, and economically. How many of you woke up about 2.5 years ago and said, why is my 401k a 101k? What the hell is the Greek debt crisis? Brexit, Vladimir Putin invading Crimea, Eastern Ukraine. Folks, world events impact our markets, right? Look at the Brexit clown car going on right now. So we have to talk about what's going on economically, politically, and military around the world. Then we kind of peel the onion back and go one layer deep, and then we do a operational brief. What's going on here in the United States? What's the latest with the Fed? What's going on with earnings, consumer confidence? How's Chicago PMI? And then, and only then, ladies and gentlemen, can we get tactical and trade. We have a good group today because not one of you so far, usually within the first 10 minutes of this brief, people go, all right, enough, where are the trades? And I usually throw those people out of the room because first of all, they don't know what they're doing, right? If you do not trade like this, I'm telling you, you're doing it wrong. If you just kind of wake up and turn on CNBC and say, hey, what should I trade? That's like me throwing a rifle at a Marine in Afghanistan and say, hey, just march in this direction and kill bad guys. Why? I don't know. Just do it. It's an order. Now, man, what's the strategy? What's our operational objective? And then we can get tactical. Okay? So that's what we do here at Topkin Options. And now I'm going to pretend that you guys are all current members, and we're going to do a primary live trade brief. I'm going to treat everybody as if you're a member. So here we go. So the EWZ is actually one of our positions that ain't looking too good right now, but it is rebounding nicely here. So EWZ, as I reminded you, is the Brazilian ETF. It's the iShares Brazil ETF. Now, we had an implosion last week based on this. Former Brazilian President Michael Temer arrested in the car wash corruption probe. For those of you who don't know, I know a lot of I know the biggest people involved in this corruption probe. about 2 years ago, I spoke in the United States, Canada, and Great Britain for a company called JBS. JBS is one of the largest food companies in the world. Was very good friends, became very good friends with the CEO, Wesley Batista. You can actually Google his name if you're interested. Great guy, seemed like a great guy to me. Met his father, who founded JPS. Still 84-year-old guy who gets up in Brazil in Anápolis and still herds cattle at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Great family. And then breaking news about a year and a half ago that they were involved in bribing, meat inspectors, not to get bad meat passed, but to speed up the permit process. The Brazilian ETF and the Bovespa imploded. When was that? So here's what I'm getting at is the fact that this happened. Where's there it is right there. This is front page Wall Street Journal and everything, man. We woke up one day and the EWZ was down 21%. But what did I say, folks? This is Brazil. This is, first of all, a risk in some of these trades, but more importantly, it is an absolute opportunity to buy that dip. Okay? This guy coming in, Bolsonaro, folks, is absolutely, he's a Trump of the tropics, man. He wants to overhaul their military pension system. He's trying to gut all the corruption as much as he can out of Brazilian politics. So down here in Miami, folks, I have a lot of Brazilian contacts. I have a lot of buddies who trade the Bovespa, and they have absolutely bought into this narrative that this guy is either going to succeed or die trying. He's locking up. He told the cops and the military, when you go into the favelas, meaning the scums, if they're not a military or a cop, shoot them if they have a gun. I mean, this guy is just, love or hate that type of attitude. I would use this pullback. So we currently have a bull put spread that's underwater, still has some time to work out. I would absolutely add another bull put spread underneath this right here. If anything, I'd maybe even do a bullish double vertical. This is way oversold, the EWZ, and I would put one of those on. I want to focus on our China trade, but if we have time, I'm going to come back and add to our EWZ position there. Like I said, Forbes nailed it. That Brazil is the absolute hottest stock market right now, and it's outperforming the S&P 500, which is pretty interesting. All right. Let's move on to and let's just take a look at the S&P 500 here real quick. For the first time in 27 years of trading, I've seen a quintuple top. So we went through this resistance here, this like 2850 here on the S&P 500, and then what did we do? We kind of stalled. Okay, so right now, this market has two choices, that or that. And based on the poll that we did at the beginning, it's pretty much evenly split that we're going to do that or that, right? I think we're way, way, way over our ski tips here and out of airspeed between now. So what events are in the immediate future that could cause this market to move? Well, first of all, we got Q1 earnings coming up in about a month, Wiz. Yeah, I'd agree with that. What's going on as far as Q1 earnings? Well, it turns out that at least the tech companies, all the limousine liberal tech companies, are doing what? Starting to come out and pre-warn that earnings are going to suck. Tech companies haven't been this negative about a quarter in 6 years. Now, I'm not going to, folks, I have to be brutally honest. I've spent my time on Wall Street. I do strategic consulting on the side. I give keynotes and all sorts of stuff. I've been in boardrooms, folks. Let me share with you this Wall Street-ism. If you can't hit the ball over the net, lower the net. So let's just say that CEOs, CFOs this isn't their first rodeo. So when they know that earnings aren't going to be super good, what do? They come out and say they're going to be awful. And then when they're less than awful, it looks like they're heroes, and then the stock rallies. We've all seen and played this game, right? So, but know this, that folks are starting to come out of the woodwork and say, you know what, earnings ain't going to be too good. And exactly, somebody just wrote that. In between now and earnings, companies have to enter what's called a blackout period. So they're kind of quiet. So Yesterday was a little bit of action. Today is one of the most quietest days I've seen in a long time. All right, so earnings, let's cross that off the list. What else is out there on the horizon? The trade deal, folks. The trade deal. Does everybody know what happened last week? Like I said, we made $7,050 on 2 trades last week with FXI. So let's bring up FXI. So Steve Mnuchin, our Treasury Secretary, who's good friends with my sister, Mr. Mnuchin and my sister ran Dune Capital in New York. Mr. Mnuchin, Lighthizer, which is our trade rep, all those dudes got on an airplane and they are heading or are over in China right now. They wrapped up talks last week here in America, and now they're heading over they are in China to continue the talks. Here's everything that I'm seeing and hearing. I'm hearing that we want to get something locked up in April, as firm as possible, and a June signing ceremony up the street at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach. That's kind of the conventional wisdom. And we've had an absolute blast trading FXI. We pounded this thing into the dirt with a lot of bearish spreads. And this is going to be our one of our trades for today. Let me finish the brief and then we'll get tactical. Look at what the president said. Trump says tariffs on Chinese goods will stay for a substantial period of time. So, and if you're a TGO member, know that this is what I really care about, folks. This isn't about trade. Okay? Last week, Taiwan requested, I think it was like 150 main battle tanks, M1 Abrams, and 66 new F-16s. Taiwan, ladies and gentlemen, Taiwan, if you ask the left side of the world, is a renegade province that China is going to take back. If you talk to us, we think it's its own independent country. I've sailed through these waters. I've taken part in the defense of Taiwan exercises. This is what it's all about, folks. Let me ask, does anybody in this room believe that the Chinese, if they sign a trade deal, are going to live up to it? And here's the 3 big issues, right? They steal everything. I briefed you 2 weeks ago that the U.S. government is aware of China's efforts. They're hacked into all of our maritime universities. All these universities that do all our top secret squirrel stuff with submarines, China's hacked into all of them. Okay? Does anybody seen what their Joint Strike Fighter looks like? It looks like ours. They're hacked into Goldman Sachs, folks. I like to tell the story often about the Heinz ketchup trade. 2 days before Warren Buffett and 3G Capital announced they were going to buy Heinz ketchup, what happened? Like 80,000 calls were bought. I think the average volume per day in Heinz ketchup options was like 1. 80,000. Short story long, government got involved, Goldman Sachs, holy crap, we don't know who that is. The trail went cold and literally disappeared. They couldn't figure out whose account it was. It was a PLA account, folks. It was the People's Liberation Army. So there's no way on God's green earth they're going to stop stealing our intellectual property, period. Take a look at our universities, man. Does anybody think that China is going to stop subsidizing their companies? President Xi Jinping, in his speech at the beginning of the year, kind of his State of the Union, said what? We ain't going to change basically who we are for anybody. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's great that the president's putting us first and bringing, billions upon billions of dollars into the treasury that we haven't gotten before. China doesn't care about a trade, folks. Does anybody think that if you're really pissed off in China that the economy sucks, what are you going to do? Are you going to call your congressman and bitch? Last time the people complained about a bunch of stuff was called Tiananmen Square, and that didn't work out too well for them. I briefed you 2 months ago about a Chinese admiral. He literally said, "What are you talking trade war? Are you kidding me? Next time the United States sails through our waters, we might just sink one of their aircraft carriers." We don't care about a trade war. This is about China's strategic dominance in Asia and the world. So, I think we're all old enough in this room to know our history. I almost want to cut and paste Neville Chamberlain's face on Trump's. Everybody remember the famous clip of Neville Chamberlain getting off the airplane, right? I have a signed document from Adolf Hitler. There will be peace in our time. I think this guy is going to do the whole. I have a signed document from Xi Jinping that we have a trade deal. Not going to happen, folks. So this is the trade I'm going to get to in a couple of minutes, but let's finish our operational brief. Foreigners dump most Chinese stocks on record as the rally fizzles. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So what's going on here, folks? So we regained some ground from yesterday, but we're in a holding pattern right now, right? Between now and Q1 earnings, the only thing really going on is China. Okay, and some macroeconomic data that I'm going to brief you on in a couple minutes. So we regained some ground that we lost yesterday, but there's really no volume here, folks. As I said, there's nothing going on. Now, in the absence of anything horrific going on, this market's going to melt up higher. Why? The Fed. Folks, the Fed's dead. I almost fell out of my chair yesterday when I heard this lady say this. Now, this is the former Fed chief. Now we obviously have Jerome Powell. Former Fed Chair Yellen says bond market could be hinting the need for what did she say? Rate cut. Folks, does everybody understand what happened between here, October 3rd, and here? October 3rd, Jerome Powell said, you know what? We're on autopilot, baby. We're raising interest rates like you read about in Federal Reserve magazine. And then what happened? Holy crap, we had a temper tantrum, didn't we? Remember this little, and I'm going to teach you a bunch of wizisms this week. When interest rates are low, stocks will grow. When interest rates are high, stocks will die. So what happened? We are going to crank up interest rates. Stocks died. Yeah, I will say that again. When interest rates are low, stocks will grow. Think about it. When money is cheap, folks, let me ask you all a question. Who was the number one buyer of the S&P 500 for the past 2 years? Who was the number one buyer of the S&P 500 for the past 2 years? Let me see some of these answers. Good. Awesome. Nope, not the Fed, not China. Good. Most of you got it. The number one buyer of the S&P 500 for the past year and a half to 2 years is the S&P 500. Good. Yep. Stock buybacks, folks. If you're a CEO and interest rates are low, hey, CFO, why don't you go out and buy a boatload of our shares? First of all, most CEOs or CFOs or C-level executives at companies get paid bonuses based on what? Stock performance. So, folks, this rally right here, this Federal Reserve rally, was also an S&P 500 rally. This was not an institutional rally. How do I know? I talk to institutions. I talk to a lot of buddies who swing around a lot of money. Matter of fact, they're all kind of in a holding pattern as well. In case this thing breaks to the downside, they're going to pound. Look at markets go down a hell of a lot faster than they go up. So yes, the number one buyer of the S&P 500 for the past 2 years has been the S&P 500. So let's finish up here and then, I'll answer most of those. But look at the macroeconomic data. What happened today? Look at this. The conference board, where are we, Tuesday? Let me scroll up here. So let's take a look at some of the macroeconomic data that came out today. Building permits were a miss. Housing starts were a miss. The Case-Shiller Housing Index absolutely physically imploded. The Richmond Fed imploded. The Conference Board's consumer confidence number, folks. What is the Conference Board's consumer confidence number? Look at this thing. It's a survey of 5,000 households. It's a pretty big sample, which says, how you doing? It says, what's your current and future economic outlook? You know, business conditions, labor availability, and what's your overall economic situation? Look at this, man. There's not one piece of macroeconomic data. I can't believe this Case-Shiller. This came out 9 a.m., man. This is bad, right? This is not good at all, this macroeconomic data. What do we get tomorrow? Tomorrow we get, trade numbers tomorrow, duh. Thursday's a big day. Look at all this stuff. We get our final GDP print, some Fed lieutenants, pending home sales, and then Friday is a huge macroeconomic day. Look at this. Inflation, personal spending, personal income, the Chicago PMI, University of Michigan consumer sentiment, new home sales, and inflation expectations. Whew. That was a mouthful. We have a lot of macroeconomic data coming towards the end of the week, which if they are not good, I think we start heading lower. Okay. Most people that I talk to believe that we need to retest this 200-day moving average in order to establish a base, so to speak. So not good news. And does anybody? So the Conference Board's consumer confidence number crashed the most since when? October of 2008. Does anybody with a good memory remember what happened around October of 2008? Yeah, the financial crisis kicked off. So, okay, anything else I need to? I covered this stuff last week. One of the reasons we're long-term bullish on Amazon is I believe they're going to get a government contract. Jeff Bezos sat on a stage, I think it was about a year ago. It was like at the Air Force Symposium. I forget the exact name of the event, but he was being interviewed by a former 4-star Air Force general. And the guy said, hey, man, we're an American company. 2.5 weeks ago, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, I've never seen this in my 50 years on this planet. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs sat in front of the Senate under oath and said that Google is directly helping the Chinese military. Can you believe this? General Dumford, U.S. Marine Corps. My son wants to be a Marine. He's up at Norwich University. Very proud of him. Does everybody remember that Google turned down a couple Pentagon contracts recently because they're not aligned with our values? This is the same company who dropped the words "do no evil" from their corporate tagline. They have no explanation for why they dropped that tagline. Can you believe this? Don't get me going on the tech rants here. I was one of the few guys in the world, along with Jeffrey Gundlach, who told you to short the hell out of Facebook. This thing is a dog. When was it? 2 years ago, skiing on spring break, the Cambridge Analytica scandal broke. When was that? Yep, right around here. Look at this thing. We'll talk probably tomorrow about the tech wreck and the coming regulation, folks. The president 2 weeks ago said, Google, Facebook, and Twitter, we're coming after you. What word did he leave out? Which he could have put in at any moment. He can't stand Jeff Bezos. He can't stand him as a limousine liberal. But as a businessman, Amazon is the way to go. We absolutely love Amazon. Exactly. Amazon. Jeff Bezos learned to keep his mouth shut. He's not a Tim Cook. And he's not can anybody tell me why the CEO of Twitter is not in jail right now? Does anybody know why Jack Dorsey is not in jail? Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, testified 8 months ago or whenever it was under oath that they don't shadow ban and we don't boot people because of political speech. A week and a half ago, the company admitted to shadow banning and banning people due to political speech. Jeff Dorsey lied under oath. Isn't like what's his name going to jail? There's like 5 people going to jail under the Mueller probe because they lied under oath. So I'm serious, folks. This isn't a rhetorical question. Can somebody tell me why that guy lied under oath? What I'm getting at, folks, is stay away from these things. These are big shorts. These things are going to be broken. I was skiing 2 weeks ago. I'm out. I almost fell off the chairlift. I actually retweeted a tweet from Senator, what's her name? Pocahontas. She's like, hey, we need to break up these tech companies. I couldn't agree more. Right? Exactly. If the president woke up one day and said, you know what, I'm done with Twitter, or I found a different platform, the stock would be at $10. So I'm not going to rant too much about this, but me and Jeffrey Gundlach are probably the earliest financial folks to predict that these guys were going to implode, and they're going to. You don't throw yourself out there as this bastion of free speech and then limit people's speech. These companies are awful, and don't get me started about. Does everybody know what Jeff or Mark Zuckerberg called people who give him their personal data? Well, never mind. We're in mixed company, but you're a dumb F. Mark Zuckerberg called you a dumb F for giving you any of your data. So, yep, that's a lot of people are typing in the chat box. So, okay, somebody's like, he didn't say that. Absolutely did. So let's go. And we're in public company here. Mark Zuckerberg, dumb. Let's see if we can see if Google comes up. Yep. So there you go. It is in an email. So here we go. There you go. So we got to get to trading here. I want to stay on timeline here. Does anybody remember the speech that Mark Zuckerberg gave? He was up on stage, right, giving a big keynote. Did anybody see his laptop computer? Did anybody see Mark Zuckerberg's laptop computer? And let me tell you know what he had over his laptop computer? He had a piece of tape over the camera. Yep. Mark Zuckerberg was on stage giving a keynote, and his laptop's right there. It had duct tape over the camera. Can somebody tell me why? Exactly, Spider. Can somebody tell me why Mark Zuckerberg would have tape over his camera? So I'll save it for another time, guys, but this is these companies are in for a reckoning, okay? I call them limousine liberal companies. I've worked in the Bay Area with some of these companies, and it's just, it ain't America, to be honest with you. When Mark Zuckerberg testified under oath that, well, Senator, we're going to fight hate speech. Okay, great. Who are you hiring? We're hiring 10,000 people to fight hate speech. Great. Where are you hiring them from? The Bay Area. Okay, great. Mr. Zuckerberg, can you tell me what hate speech is? And the dude looked like one of his wires shorted and popped out of his ears and smoke came out. He's like, that's a good question, Senator. I will have my staff get back to you. I remember watching that testimony, and I think I almost fell out of my chair with how bad it was. And then you get all these cheerleaders on TV saying how good it was. And then it ended up imploding again. So, yep, Judy, you should absolutely cover the camera on your computer. They absolutely are hacked into it. Folks, look at Facebook. Every week, Facebook comes up with a new, oh, gee, sorry about that. We didn't know we were doing this, or we didn't know we were doing this. It's an absolute lie. Absolutely, folks. When you are not, the only reason I have it untaped right now is because I want you all to see me and meet me. Absolutely do that. All right, guys, we got to get going. I want to stay on track here. What's Nike doing? It was coming back a little bit. If you didn't, how many of you got filled or didn't get filled? All right, good. It's coming back a little bit. If you didn't get filled on yesterday's bear call spread, I'd probably go up 50 cents and maybe look to get filled on that one, man. I think this comes in by Friday. This is bad. So even if what Michael Avenatti, even if he did try to extort Nike, if what the dude's saying is true, they're in for a world on hub. Steve, doesn't the light on your come on your camera? Steve, if they're smart enough to get into your computer and turn your camera on, they're smart enough to figure out how to not have the light come on. I'll leave it at that. All right, so Nike, guys, our weekly options trade is a hold. The EWZ trades are hold as well. And I would let's cover our new trade for today. Here's what I want to do, folks. This trade that I'm going to show you, let's bring up FXI, which is the iShares China Large Cap ETF. Okay. Here's my opinion about what's going to happen. And does everybody remember a year ago when the president, came out, walking in the helicopter, just had a phone call with Xi, going to be huge, great trade deal, everything's great, market rallies. 2 months later, same type of thing. Hey, just got off the phone with Xi, market rallied a little bit. Now you got Larry Kudlow and Steve Mnuchin on the White House lawn a couple weeks ago going, it's fantastic. Negotiations are awesome. Thing went down. I, folks, absolutely believe that this market, it will initially pop. So between now and the end of April, so all tea leaves are reading to the fact that we're going to get those guys. I think they're meeting with the vice premier Thursday or something like that. That should be a nice photo op and everything like that. I think they're going to come to some sort of agreement in April. They're going to use May to kind of finalize it. And like I said, I believe in June, President Xi Jinping is going to be up here in Palm Beach. Now, and if you watch, the only show on CNBC I watch is the Power Lunch because I know some of the dudes. But Jeremy Siegel, where is he from? Wharton? Yeah. He parroted exactly what I've been saying for the longest time here, folks. I believe when we get an announcement of a trade deal, that we're going to get a market pop. Okay? A market pop. And then it's going to drop. I'm telling you, folks, this rally, it's built in. And once the president puts China to bed, this trade deal with China to bed, what is his next steps as far as trade? He's already said what? Once I'm done with those guys, I'm going over here. If you look at the right side of the map, what's he going to do? He's going after Europe. Correct, Leonard, and the EU. So, folks, we're kind of in this trade war Vietnam, so to speak, where it's kind of a quagmire. And I believe once the final details of any trade deal come out, listen to me, folks. I don't like the man. I'm not a big Trump. I like the policies. The delivery vehicles, horrendous. What I'm getting at here, folks, is I think it's overhyped. So just like Jeremy Siegel said about an hour ago, he said, I absolutely believe we're going to get a big pop on an announcement of a trade deal, and then it's going to drop. Couldn't agree more. So let's take a look at I call it a burner trade, okay? Now, if you're relatively new to options, folks, don't worry about it. Once you become a member here at Top Gun Options, you get access to 8 training sessions, right? And we just did one the other night, our Iron Condor one. So we start session 1. Hey, this is a call, this is a put, and we end up with some of our more advanced tactics. So I'm going to cover a tactic right now that I didn't cover in training that we kind of made up recently. And the last time we did this trade, it printed money. What was it? $6,500 or whatever it was. This trade made money. And we're going to do another one of these. So if you, and like I said, if you're relatively new to options or maybe intermediate knowledge, just hang out with me because this is kind of middle of the road here. So here we go. So we're looking at FXI, which is the iShares China Large Cap ETF. Looks like it, and this is a Keltner, what we call a Keltner channel. And this red line in the middle is the 50-day moving average on FXI. Really looks like every time we get to the middle of this Keltner channel, we see support, and it bounces. Matter of fact, once we got above the Keltner channel, that's in fact what the case has been, right? So the Keltner channel looks like to be some support here. So if you think, or if I'll say me, if I believe that FXI isn't going to go any lower or has found support, we could place a tactic called a bull put spread. We can be bullish, we'll use some puts, and it'll be a spread. So let me bring up, I was already working this trade before we got on the air here. So I'm going to bring this up right here, and let me get rid of that real quick so you don't see it. So here's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to sell, and right here, folks, you see the middle of this Keltner channel is right around $43. Nice round number. I like it. I'm looking to sell 150 contracts. Now, give me about 2 to 3 minutes, and I'll explain where the 150 comes from. I'm looking to sell 150 of the April 19 43 puts. That's me saying, hey, FXI, I don't think you're going to be below 43 by the April expiration. So whenever you see a month APR and a year 19, that means the regular monthly expiration, which is the third Friday of the month. 1, 2, 3. The third, hey, it works out to be the same day. Very rarely does this happen. The April 19 expiry, you ready for it, is actually April 19th. Why did I pick April 19 expiration? Because that gives us essentially 4 weeks for Mnuchin, Lighthizer, Kudlow, and Wilbur Ross to do what? And Peter Navarro to get something done. Okay? I believe in the next 4 weeks we will get some sort of we got a deal. And this is going to pop. Right? Short-term tactical pop, and then it's going to go down. Okay? So, this selling 150 of the April 19 43 puts. Wiz, what if you're wrong, man? What if you're absolutely right? Meaning the announcement comes out and the market's like, oh, that thing sucks, and it implodes. So we're going to buy some what we call downside puts. We're going to buy the 42.5 puts underneath this in case this thing does implode, right? So this tactic, ladies and gentlemen, I'm bullish on FXI. I'm using puts, and it's a spread. This tactic is called a bull put spread. But I'm not done yet, folks. Let me finish covering this, and then we're going to do something else to it. It's also called what? A credit spread. I'm getting paid to do this trade. I'm bringing, well, it was 17 cents. I'm getting paid a credit of 16 or 17 cents to do this trade. Right? So, some of you were sitting here going, all right, he pulled 150 out of the air. I didn't. Let me show you something. As I said, as a naval aviator, as a fighter pilot, we were always managing risk. I know people are sitting there like, all right, this dude used to fly off aircraft carriers. He's going to brief me on risk management. Yeah, folks. Right? So, I'm going to see where it says snapshot analysis. I'm going to click on this button, and I'm going to want you to look at one place and one place only, and that's max potential loss. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Max potential loss. The max potential loss in this trade is $49.50. Let's just round up and say $5,000. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to teach you that you need to come up with your own SOP, standard operating procedures, right? You need to come up with your own SOP. At Top Gun Options, based on a $100,000 model portfolio, we don't want to risk more than 5%. For you political science majors, I'll help you do the math, or $5,000 on any one trade. Why? Folks, that's me. 27 years of doing this, I found out that 5% of my model portfolio is okay to risk, right? I don't want to lose $5,000, folks, trust me. And I'm going to brief you in a minute on the point that we might want to eject or get out of this trade. But you have to at least start with something. I love bumping into people on the road. Wiz, I'm a trader too. Yeah, okay, I'm in this trade. The first thing I'll ask anybody when they're like, oh yeah, I'm in this trade, is how much is the risk? Well, Kerry, here's what we do, folks. Just do the math. Wiz, I don't want to risk $5,000. I don't have $5,000. Maybe I only want to risk, $2,500. Well, then, folks, you do what? 75 contracts. I can't tell you what to do. I'm not a registered investment advisor. I'm not a broker dealer. You're getting to eavesdrop. Essentially, you're getting to walk on the floor of the SIBO and eavesdrop on what's going on. So maybe if you did 75 contracts, you're only risking $2,500 to make $1,300. Okay? So, Kerry, hopefully that answers your question. You just scale the amount of contracts that fits your max potential loss. But I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, if I hadn't told you to look at max potential loss first, that just about everybody in this room except my members would have done this. You would have done what? Max potential profit. Wow, $2,600? Hell yeah, Wiz, I want to make, who doesn't, folks? If you ain't ready to lose that, don't look here first. Okay. Now, we're not done with this trade. This is called a bull put spread. One of the reasons I like this trade is, you ready for this? 3 out of 4 ways this trade makes money. I know some of you sitting here saying, well, Wiz, we could do a bull call spread. Give me 10 minutes, man. I'm gonna change your life. But 3 out of 4 ways this trade makes money, folks. Look over here. This is called a P&L diagram, right? Profit and loss. Now, the FXI's current price is that blue line right there. Everybody see it? See that blue line? So we make money 3 ways. FXI goes up. We make money. Folks, FXI can just hang out where it is, right? You see, it can just wallow around here. We make money. And here's the best thing about a bull put spread. You see this little space right here? FXI can even go down a little bit as long as it stays above our break even, which is where? Below this Keltner channel. So 3 out of 4 ways this trade is profitable. The 1 out of 4 ways this trade doesn't make money is what? FXI rolls out of bed and implodes. But ladies and gentlemen, let me brief you on something real quick. And yeah, I'll cover the, remember folks, and I love this view. I'm up here on the 29th floor, right here on Las Olas Boulevard. You can see the Ferrari dealership down the street. Ferrari dealerships don't look the way they look, folks, because they give away money. Same thing with casinos. You want to be the house. You want to sell things. So the main Greek, and I don't want your eyes to glaze over like, oh crap, here come the Greeks. Folks, when I flew the F-18 Hornet, I remember going to the aerodynamics class. It was like flight control computer class. And we walked in, and it was an instructor pilot, wasn't no engineer. And he drew a big, he took a red marker on the dry erase board and put a big circle up on the board. And he kind of pushed it. He said, this is the I believe button. He's like, guys, the engineers that built this thing sometimes don't even know how it works. I'm going to teach you what you need to know about the flight control system. So I'm going to teach you what you need to know about the Greeks. Doesn't have to be rocket surgery, folks, okay? So, but keep your eyes down here on the Greek called theta. The dudes having their midlife crises down the street right now at the Fort Lauderdale Ferrari dealership, as soon as they pull out of the parking lot, what happens? They lose money, folks. Depreciation, right? Theta. This Greek right here is called theta. It's called time decay. So I want you to keep your eyes down there on that right here at theta, because watch what happens as we go forward in time with this trade, right? If we're filled just on this bull put spread. You ready? Look, you make money every day that goes by. And let me write this down. Write this down too. If you unched on the day equals time decay. You ever hear, Wall Street, hey, it's unched, unchanged, meaning if FXI doesn't move today, you still make money. FXI goes down, FXI goes up. You make money on theta. That's why some people are like, well, if I'm bullish on this, I'll buy some calls or I'll do a bull call spread. Folks, every day that goes by, you lose money when you buy something, right? So I like being the house. I like selling. Now, this, if you're familiar with this tactic, our profits are capped. If I'm right in this trade, that in the next, 4 weeks, something, and this is a trend with FXI, folks. Hey, everything's going great on the trade deal. Actually, we're going to keep tariffs in place, but everything's going great in the trade deal. Well, we haven't heard anything. This thing's going to rally, folks. So if I think this thing's going to rally and I don't want to put a cap on my profits, this is why I call this a burner trade. So I'm getting paid to do this trade, folks, $2,600. You know what I'm going to do if I think that this thing's really going to pop? I'm going to buy some calls. So watch this. I'm just going to throw 50 in there. of the foot, and I'm gonna buy the 45 calls. Why? Look at what's been resistance lately. 45, 45, 45. Every time we get up to 45, it seems like we've run out of airspeed. But this time, I think it's different, folks. I could be wrong. Mnuchin and everybody could get on a plane in China and go, you know what? They're not even serious. We're coming home. No trade deal. That's a threat, folks. That is a risk to this trade. But check out what I want to do. I want to buy some upside calls. So look at this trade, folks. Now what did I do? Everybody look down here. This is still a credit spread, folks. I'm going to bring in $1,000 to get bullish on FXI between now and the third week in April. That something's going to happen. This thing's going to rally on a trade deal. Now let's take a look at the metrics. Now, since I bought these calls, my risk went up a little bit. Okay, obviously, right? But now look at my max potential profit. It is indefinite. You got it. I took the top off of my max potential profit. Yeah, I love this trade. And look at the picture here, folks. It makes sense, right? Here's your here's your bull put spread right here, folks. And then now here's your upside call potential. Okay? So hang on real quick. Let me go back to the bull put spread. Let me get rid of the calls and just let's take a look at our bull put spread here. Now, I told you folks, I don't want to lose 49.50. That sucks, right? But I'm okay with that. I've acknowledged that risk as the pilot in command of this portfolio. I've looked at this and said, you know what? I acknowledge that risk. Don't want it to happen. So here's what we could potentially do. When I send out the trade alert in a couple minutes via text to my members, I put what is called the eject level, okay? And I kind of use the aviation term, right? Kind of a stop loss. When should I potentially eject out of this trade so I don't take that max loss, folks? I don't want to take that max loss. This is easy math. And like I said, I'm a political science major, poor kid from New Jersey. This is easy. Just double the credit that you take in. If I get filled on this trade at 17 cents, I'm going to look to potentially get out of it at 34 cents. Let me cover this real quick. I'm going to give you an hour and a half lecture, folks, on the bull put spread. But let me just help you out here. Remember, folks, we sold this Ferrari. I wish Ferrari was 17 cents. We want this trade to expire worthless. We want to keep all 17 cents. So we want this trade to go down to zero, right? We want all 17 cents in our pocket. So if it isn't, right? If we wake up tomorrow and all of a sudden FXI starts going down for whatever reason, this credit is going to start going this way. That's not good. We want it to go that way. So if I wake up, or not even wake up, remember double the credit that I take in. If I wake up one day or all of a sudden this trade's at 34 cents, that means FXI is going down for some reason. This is when I take off my oxygen mask in the airplane and I go, all right, what's going on with this trade? Should I get out of it now or should I stay in it? Okay? You don't want to sit here with the engines on fire and fly right into the side of a mountain when you could potentially eject. So I'm going to teach you when you become a member here that we have what we call commit criteria, right? Commit criteria meaning, why am I committing capital to this trade? Well, I just told you my commit criteria. I believe in the next 4 weeks, there will be an announcement of a trade deal. The market and FXI will see an initial pop, and then it's actually going to drop, in my opinion. So if we wake up in 2 weeks and this thing's going down, and we look at the news and it's the trade, stuck on some big issues, or we're not seeing light at the end of the tunnel, get out. Anytime your commit criteria change, get out of the trade. Folks, this is where people get emotional. Aviation is not emotion, folks, right? So eventually when you become a member, I'm going to fully brief you on our trade planning process, right? Step 2, it's right here. Commit criteria. Why am I committing capital to this trade? Why am I putting some of my hard-earned money at risk? Why am I in it? I call this kind of your cocktail party pitch. 3 to 5 sentences. If you bump into me at a party and, hey, Wiz, I'm bearish or I'm bullish on China. Why? At the end of those 3 to 5 sentences, I should look at you and go, my God, I'm an idiot for not being in this trade, right? And this is literally a fighter pilot term, folks. Commit. Why am I? There are commit criteria. If I'm airborne and all of a sudden there's some bad guys over here, they need to fulfill certain commit criteria for me to go engage with them. It's the same thing in trading, ladies and gentlemen. Why am I committing capital to this trade? And then guess what happens down here in our trade planning process? If our commit criteria change, what do? Eject or get out. That should make sense to everybody. Take the emotion out of your trading. It's at the eject level. Doesn't look like we're going to get a trade deal. I'm done. I'm out. Move on. Cut your losses, folks. So before I even place this trade, I know when I'm going to get out. What do I also know? I'm going to teach you also here at Top Gun Options that you need to take profit on a credit spread if you're seeing 70, 80, or 90% profit of the credit that you take in. Do not be the person that says, hey man, I'm up $2,100 in this trade, but there's 3 weeks to go. I want that extra $400. And then all of a sudden Trump says, no, we're going to war with China and this thing's at zero. Folks, do not turn a 70, 80, 90% winning trade into 100% loss. I have done it. This is, folks in the squadron, we like to say that SOPs, standard operating procedures, are written in blood. Well, we don't like to say that. That sounds weird. We do say that because it's the truth. Learn from my mistakes, man. If you're seeing a 70, 80, or 90% profit of this credit that you took in, close the trade. So check this out. We haven't even placed this trade yet. I have to add the calls back on there. I'm just talking about the bull put spread here. But we've already talked about when we're going to get out for max profit or when we're going to eject for minimum loss. Isn't that pretty cool? How many of you do this? What? Before you get into a trade. So, but let me add the calls back on, and I'll answer questions in a little bit, guys. I'm on a little bit of a roll, and again, when we have nearly 3,000 people registered for this, the chat box gets crowded. So I'm not ignoring questions. This is why we only take a handful of folks every couple months, man, is because it gets to be a zoo. We love a tight, close-knit squadron here at Top Gun Options. So let me add those calls back on of the calls and the 45s. Okay. So I like this trade. We are bringing in $850, and yeah, this is a good looking trade, folks. The last one we did of these was $6,500 or something like that. It was on FXI too, right? Okay. So let's go. Who said Mark or whoever just said that? We did another one of these. I can find it in our member section, or maybe Tamara or one of you guys. Can you go hunt down that last burner trade, and I'll bring it up as an example. You bet, Harry. But here's what I'm going to do now is I'm going to text this out to my members. So when you become a member here at Top Gun Options, you're in about 2 seconds, you're going to get a text alert, and you're also going to get an email with this trade. So let's see how long it takes for us to get this. But so I'm blasting out to 669 members. You see this right here? So I already set this up before I got on the air. I had this alert in here. It's already ready to go. So during the live trade briefs, folks, Monday through Thursday, hey, Wiz, I work for a living, or, can't make it. Folks, don't worry about it. Everything's recorded, and if you're sitting, 1 o'clock on Wednesday or Thursday in death by meeting, your cell phone's about to buzz in a second here, and you're going to get the trade. Okay, so I'd say about 80% of our members work, and guess what? They get the text alert, and then they watch the replay later in the day, right? So that's what's really cool, is everything's sent out via text and email. I'll leave this trade up here, but I want to move on. What do we got? About 30 or 20. We got 20 minutes left. But any questions on this burner trade? It's a bull put spread that I'm using to finance a call purchase. Everybody get that? Does everybody understand? Any questions, concerns, by the ways on that? Let me take a look at the chat box here and run back up and take a look. Perry, yes, that is the regular April expiration. April 19 expiration is that. Are you using third contracts of the... Yeah, that's exactly what I do, Tim. It's a nice ratio. Absolutely. Tamara, what is that in? Primary live trade brief or which one? Mark, good question. Why don't you do this all the time if it's so good? Mark, because I expect a violent pop out of this. Okay? If I didn't expect within the next 4 weeks a trade announcement, but I just kind of think that things are going good, I would have just done the bull put spread, Mark. So it's almost, and I don't want to, so if I'm bullish, you ready? If I'm bullish on FXI, I'd probably look at the bull put spread. Really bullish, I do this burner trade. And then you ready for this? If I'm really, really, really bullish, Mark, and I'm going to teach you a tactic if you become a member, that's called a double vertical. Okay? So, Mark, you want to do this type of burner trade when you think something's going to have a nice, big, significant pop. Does that make sense? Yep. April 19th, the market is closed, so it would expire the day before. Okay. Yep. My phone buzzed, so I got my text. So there it is, guys. There's my text alert, and then here is the email. So at the top of the email is the text alert. So I pasted in. So this is what you'd get on your phone, new FXI burner trade. And then I pasted in the screenshot of the actual trade. So you get kind of two alerts, folks. You get the text alert, and you also get the email. Okay. David, that one might be a little dated. I'd go with what's going on live here. Like I said, I loaded that one up before the brief. This is the current pricing of that trade. So might be off by a penny. Okay. Yeah, just take a look at the email. Yeah, look at that, guys. It's right there. There you go. So there's the text alert. So you don't have to be here to get your alerts. You'll get an email and you get a text alert. Man, I got a lot of text. Cool. All right. March 19, is it in the primary live trade brief? Let's take a look at that. Let's see. No. Well, anyway. Weekly options. All right, let's go take a look at that, because somebody asked, let me show you the last time we did one of these. March 19, weekly options. Yeah, we'll cover, was March 9, or no, what did you say, Tamara? Feb? Weekly options, March 19. I thought we labeled it. Well, I'm not going to hunt around it forever, but we did. It was FXI. David, yeah, that was a sweet one. Yeah, it was 6,500, right? Well, here. So here's. I know you guys can't see each other's chat. Usually we're in go to training, and everybody can see each other's chats. But David, yeah, 6,500 bucks. Anybody else, current members? Let me know how you did with that. With that one. If you held it, I think you made $6,500, folks. That's nice. But again, you do that on trades that you think are going to have a nice pop. Okay. All right. Let's. Man, we got about 16 minutes. I don't want to jam another trade in there, but let's take a look at Nike because we do have a weekly options trade on Nike. That's the closest alligator to the boat here. Nike. Man, what an absolute shit show yesterday with everything. Feb 21st. Well, I can find it. We can take a look at it tomorrow. But the last time we did a burner trade on FXI, it made $6,500. So that's a pretty good looking trade. If you didn't get filled on the Nike trade, and the consumer confidence number today, guys, was awful. Nike kind of recovered a little bit today, but I would absolutely, if you didn't get filled, let's take a look at what I do for Friday. So, folks, if you're relatively new to options, I'm kind of talking to my weekly options members. We did a weekly options brief yesterday, and we looked at a bear call spread on Nike. Now, Nike popped a little bit today, so I'd rolled yesterday's trade up about 50 cents, maybe the 80. Let's take a look at the 83.5. I think this rolls. I think this rolls over the rest of the week, to be honest with you, especially with the macroeconomic data. Or we could leg into an iron condor, to be honest with you, with a bull put spread here, because it looks like this is kind of a ledge here. Ledges usually aren't bullish, and once we get off the air here, I have to read the rest of what that scumbag, creepy porn lawyer is alleging about Nike. So just because the guy was arrested for trying to, strong arm and shake down Nike doesn't mean that what the guy was exposing wasn't true about Nike paying players and all sorts of stuff. If true, this is a massive scandal. So, but again, who's the guy that's bringing it forward? A dude that was indicted in New York and Los Angeles on the same day. Michael Avenatti, that guy. What a piece of work. So. Yeah, Ed, I agree with that. I mean, I can't stand Nike. I've gotten rid of almost all of my Nike stuff for Under Armour. Any company that employs Colin Kaepernick with a slogan that says "Some sacrificed all" makes me want to vomit. Hey, Colin, why don't you go to Arlington National Cemetery and take a look at some people who sacrificed all? Makes me absolutely physically ill. So, unfortunately, I'm that type of guy that patronizes or doesn't patronize companies based on stuff like that. So that entire ad campaign from Nike made me sick and furious. There are women and men who are buried at Arlington National Cemetery who sacrificed everything. Mr. Kaepernick, you didn't sacrifice shit. Anyway, let's take a look at maybe a new. Let's do this. No, Michelle, I agree. I don't think the dude made any of those allegations up. It sounds like something Nike would do. So, I mean, aside from the guy being indicted for, the guy said, "Hey, man, I'm gonna go public with this stuff, and if you don't pay me $20 million, I'm gonna go public with this." Doesn't mean that what he was going to go public with isn't true. It just means he was trying to squeeze him. So. All right, so let's take. You know what? Right now, I'd most likely, for current members, I'd probably add 50 cents to yesterday's bear call spread if you're looking at that one. Extort, thanks, Rick. My God, I had a mental block. I might look at a bull put spread. I mean, if the thing hasn't imploded, let's take a look at the. Let's see if there's any premium in a weekly here. 81.5. Wait, how many contracts is my current trade? So I might leg into a weekly iron condor here, folks. The current trade is down about $1,600. This is a hold. 10 contracts. I did 10. So I'm going to leg into a weekly iron condor on Nike. Sam, if you want to see the weekly options trade from yesterday, watch the weekly options trade from yesterday. Go in there and watch the replay. It's in there. Craig, remember the Duke player? Oh yeah, and the Nike shoes. Yeah, that was yeah. Thank God that guy was he wasn't hurt. Mark, don't even get me started, man. You nailed it. You put it right through the bullseye. Yeah, I'm not even gonna. Let me get this trade on, guys, because I want to stick to our. We only do our PLTB for about an hour and a half. I got some coaching this afternoon. Let's look at the 82, 81 and a half, and legging into an iron condor on this. Let me go back and check out this. Let me see this. So this is yesterday's trade. 175. It was the 82 and a half, 83. Yeah, Williamson. Thanks, Arthur. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to leg into an iron condor here. The 82, 81 and a half, guys, for Friday. I would not do this as a standalone trade. I would only do this if I had the bear call spread from yesterday on. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do this one. Let me grab a screenshot of this. Okay, so folks, this is not a standalone trade. I would not do this bull put spread by itself. Why? Very easy answer. Look at the risk. This trade, this standalone trade, is risking 7 to potentially make 1,800. Now it's a high probability trade. Got a 73% probability of making 1,800 bucks. But I currently have on a bear call spread that I placed yesterday. Right? I thought Nike was going to roll over harder than it did. And based on today's market reaction, it seems like it's shrugging it off a little bit. So I think we at least hang here. So do not do this as a standalone trade. Let me grab a screenshot of this. I'm looking to sell 175 of Friday's 82 puts. Right? What if you're wrong, Wiz, and Friday Nike decides to wake up, the stock decides to wake up and recognize that it is in a world of hurt? Okay, well, then we're going to be hedged because we're buying the 81 and a half downside puts. I'm going to try and get filled at 11 cents, folks, plus or minus a penny, meaning the lowest I'd go on this trade is 10 cents and the highest I'd go is about 12. So about a 1 cent wide range there, okay? As I said, the metrics on this trade are such that you do not do this as a standalone trade. I mean, you can. I can't tell you what to do, but risking 6,900 bucks essentially to make $2,000, that's a little. The risk to reward is outside my normal risk to reward. But the reason I'm doing this trade, folks, is because I already have the bear call spread on. So this tactic, if I get filled on this, is going to be called an iron condor. Okay. And we actually, let me show what an iron condor is. We actually have an iron condor on XLY, which is the that services ETF. So where's my iron condor? So here you go. So here's an iron condor, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know what this tactic is, it's a tactic where let me just bring up an order ticket. You have a bull put spread on and a bear call spread. You think something's going to remain range bound. Okay, so I currently have an iron condor on the XLY. This one, look at this. This one's risking 2,700 bucks in order to make 5,300 bucks. This is a good looking trade. I call it a football trade, folks, because think of these two things as kind of the uprights, and that the football needs to go through the upright, the stock, right? So we have a bear call spread and a bull put spread in XLY. So this is currently looking pretty good. But this is why I said with the bull put spread on Nike, I would not do this on as a standalone trade, right? Because the risk to reward on that one isn't good. It was like 6,900 bucks to potentially make two. So we can mitigate our risk by legging into what we call an iron condor. Okay. So this is on XLY. This is a different symbol. We'll probably talk about XLY tomorrow when we talk about Amazon and all that stuff. Yep, I will put the trade back up. This is let me go with orders. So here we go. So I'm going to sit here at about 11 cents, folks. Well, let me, some of you didn't see the trade. It's the 82, 81 and a half. Okay. and I'm going to say it for the 9th time, I would not do this as a standalone trade. I would only do this if I had the fill from yesterday. And here's yesterday's trade right here. This is yesterday's trade, the 82.5, 83. So it is kind of a tight iron condor here. Okay. David, I would. I mean, I'm hanging in my current bear call spread on Nike. If I wasn't filled on that one, I'd go up about 50 cents on it. Let's bring up Nike here. So it had let me bring up the 3-day chart. So here's the, yesterday's breaking news that Avenatti sent out a tweet at whatever time it was, and like 15 minutes later he was arrested. It was, the FBI was sitting in their cars waiting for this guy to say that. And then as the day went on, the stock recovered, but kind of look at the price action here. If what was said was true, or I'm sorry, not true, this stock would have recovered. And remember what happened the other day, folks. Why did this stock gap down? Does anybody know why the stock gapped down? Somebody help me out here. Why did Nike gap down last week? Earnings. Earnings were horrific, folks. Earnings were awful on Nike. I was going to get bearish on Nike anyway, and then the whole Avenatti thing happened yesterday. So this ain't a bullish chart. Remember, the trade that I just showed you, the bull put spread and the bear call spread from yesterday, are weekly options trade. These things expire on Friday. Very, very short-term tactical trade. So like I said here at Top Gun Options, and it kind of looks like, if you're a skier, this looks familiar. So each kind of portfolio that we have here at Top Gun Options is more or less, it's here. Let me bring this up. If you're a skier, you kind of recognize these symbols. So weekly options, it's not like they're expert or something. It's just they're shorter term. They're very, very tactical trades, right? Today we're doing the primary live trade brief, which is kind of intermediate tactics. And I know I kind of overlapped a little bit from yesterday's weekly options, but I can do that just because it's a tactical trade, and I can talk about it whenever. Wednesday we do AR, Accelerated Retirement. That's going to be tomorrow at 1:00, and we're going to take a look at a longer term bullish trade. A lot of you are in the chat box are asking about the XLY trade. Maybe we'll take a look at putting on an XLY trade tomorrow. Yeah, Bill, guys, if it should be 150, 150, and 50. I'll put it back up here in a second. And then Thursday, we wrap up each week by analyzing any trades that you have or questions that you have, and we kind of debrief the other 3 portfolios, okay? So yeah, weekly options, it's not like it's more advanced. It's just the trades have a shorter fuse attached to them. So yeah, guys, if the text said that, make sure you have it right there. So let me, you know what? I didn't, that was stupid. I thought I pressed fire here. Where the hell did my FXI go? Oh, well, here we go. Let me, before we go, I'm going to rebuild my damn FXI trade since I didn't fire it. FXI. So yeah, guys, if the text was off by 100, yeah, go with what's on the screen here. Go with what's in the email, folks. The email has literally the screenshots of it. So it's the April 19. Let me just bring this up, and that was EWZ. Let me stick with FXI. Let me just bring it up to make sure I'm doing this right. 43, 42 and a half. The 43, 42 and a half. And those are 150. 150, 150. And yeah, folks, I'll teach you all this stuff, man. The how to scale and do all this stuff. But yeah, let me place this one. Curry, unfortunately, you can't watch yesterday's session. It's for members only. Once you become a member, you can absolutely watch that, the 45 calls. And you know what I didn't cover on this is you can leg into this, okay? I mean, your broker, whoever you trade with, recognizes this as a kind of one trade, and you could place it just like this. However, you might get a better fill if you place the bull put spread by itself end these calls by themselves. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire this, and it usually takes about 20 to 30 minutes for this replay to render this recording. So usually at about the end of me rendering that replay and sending it out to members, if I don't get filled on that trade as its whole trade, well, I just did just now. Here you go. You can maybe place it as two separate trades. Okay. Although that might have been Nike. Okay, good. I got filled on the FXI. Awesome. Okay, so we're airborne on that, and still waiting to. I'm here at 11. There we go. Might get 12 cents or 11. Let me just stick with 11 here with Nike. Okay. All right, guys. Sam, the XLY trade is in the members page. If you need the XLY trade, you can go on the member page and look it up. So, all right, folks, good first session here, man. I enjoyed this. Hopefully the FXI trade makes sense to you. It's called a burner trade. It's a bull put spread that finances the upside call purchase. We're going to have a good time tomorrow in our accelerated retirement brief. We're going to look at getting long-term bullish on one of the names that we like, that sector that I briefed you on. And then Thursday, we're going to wrap up our full throttle training. And you know what? I'm going to post the replay from today right here. So let me post. Here's the replay page, folks. Go.topgunoptions.com/replay. You know what? Maybe somebody asked for it. I can post yesterday's replay, the weekly options brief. Anybody interested in that? To show how what a good guy I am. I could put yesterday's brief up there if you guys are interested. All right, maybe I'll do that in the 30 minutes that I usually go grab my coffee as the replay is rendering. Maybe I'll post yesterday's replay. All right, guys, so it'll be on this page right here. I'll post yesterday's weekly options brief, and then I'll post today's replay, obviously, in about 30, 45 minutes or so. Okay? Awesome. Any other questions, concerns? Oh, by the ways? Good time. Thank you. Thanks for all the kind words, folks. I enjoy this. I love opening up the doors to our trading squadron. I kind of treated you all as if you were normal members. Like I said, if we left you in the dust a little bit, just know that we do 8 live training sessions where we cover everything from what a call is, what a put is, all the way up to some advanced tactics. So thanks, Graham. All right, guys. Yeah, I appreciate all the kind words. I'll let you know tomorrow. I appreciate people asking right now how to join. Just give me one more day to make sure you're good to go. You're comfortable with who I am, and you're comfortable with Top Gun options. Okay. Arthur, Wiz, nice presentation minus your cussing. Exactly. Arthur, that wasn't, trust me, there wasn't too much cussing in that one. So, all right, folks, have a great rest of your day. I'll get the replay posted here shortly, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for accelerated retirement. God bless, and welcome aboard Full Throttle. We'll see you.